where once more their backs are up against the wall, and yet, as we saw a week ago, they were able to climb the mountain of Envision and bring things back. Remember, and context for people that might be tuning in, this is very likely to be the matchup for number 2 in Group B. If OpTic were to take this match here, all they would need to do to secure number 2 is beat Envision later in the tournament. Now, that's just going off historical strength. It is possible for upsets, but generally speaking, if OpTic is able to beat NRG here, very likely to take number 2.
Yeah, this was where NRG started their reverse sweep against Envision last week. See if OpTic can shut this down, though. It's going to be a full dive coming out from both squads, but it's Gray running the Ani on the opposite end for OpTic Academy.
Stratus again, looking for his way in, already at 23% ult charge. NRG's made a very good inroads here from the left. OpTic wasn't quite able to stop them from getting in this far. This opens up options for both Damon and Stratus, where Damon is going around the left side, but he's checked by Sharp. Has to go back the other end. Can't dive in as deeply as he'd want. Stratus right now not finding too much on the poke, as OpTic is poking back well, but Gray, under pressure on the back line, gonna get healed up, but that got dicey for a second as Stratus goes in deeper, finds aid, and now NRG off that opening. That's going to be enough to likely give them point A. Nice dive coming in there.
Yeah, they're even delaying these eliminations right now, but the final clean upon to Vol, that will be NRG taking the point. They just played that very slow. They were waiting for their moment. They were waiting for someone to just step forward too far, for some poke to stick onto Gray, and as soon as it did, they dove on in. Now, usually you see Anna's build up their nano boost quickly. He will have it for this next fight. Smurf, maybe the recipient of it.
So you want to talk about predicting another moment again. Stratus is about ready to go crazy here. One thing that could shut down would be a sleep dart. It's not super likely, but Gray, do you have it in you a second time? Use the nano boost on the Smurf early in the fight. Stratus pushed back, needs to get healed up if he wants to blade. They've already lost Butcher, so NRG isn't working with the same momentum, but Gray is down. There's no chance of a sleep. Stratus moving in, uses the blade, cuts down one. Both supports out of the fight, looking for more. Stratus making every bit of this blade count here, as NRG still very much threatening, but it's a tank play of OpTic that keeps NRG back. That's enough for Respawn to get back to the fight, and Gray has swapped over to this Moira.
Yep, the self-destruct, zoning them off from the point, so not allowing NRG to even secure that one tick, as they do have to run with their tails between their legs. Now, OpTic Academy able to stabilize there, and that's going to stabilize them in a great way because they do have a Blade and Transcendence for this next fight. NRG resetting their ultimates as Stratus has now gone over to that Soldier 76.
And going 76 on Hanamura makes all the sense, right? It's just very good for high ground control. It's good for pressure on the top. It gives another threat that you have to dive in on. Keller now has to worry about the raid boss of Stratus in the back. By the way, speaking of worrying, here comes Keller. Played out, gets one, looking for more, and actually ends up, oh, he got Stratus on the bottom. Stratus goes, he didn't see me drop down here. Actually, he did.
Yeah, that was a really sneaky play coming out from Keller. I did not expect that at all because they had just taken the right side high ground. That's where he came from, just below them. Able to sneak on in. Didn't have to use his dash to try and get on top of them. He was already there. So now OpTic forcing them back once again. NRG still struggling to try and get Stratus onto that high ground.
Bear in mind the pressure there too is that anytime you force a soldier into the basement, you're doing pretty well in defenses. Damon loses the Tracer on Tracer. Too Sharp, and NRG, they don't want any part of this fight anymore. They don't want to dive in deeper. They are going to bend back a bit here and hope that OpTic comes out, because this is where OpTic could overextend, but NRG's being measured.
Yeah, NRG, they've got plenty of time in the bank, and OpTic don't want to just throw away a team fight and allow them positioning onto the high ground here. And so we're playing this a little bit more measured now. Sharp checking Damon, forcing him back. Recall not going to be used from either side yet. Damon backs away.
Meanwhile, Sharp gets the orb, has the bomb up. He's going to be coming in from the flank in just a moment here. Had the rewind, but he's looking to come in as NRG moves onto the point. Sharp flanking around, Smurf out of the fight. Stratus would like to keep a high position here, but there's the bomb from Sharp. Takes himself out just to get rid of Butcher, and that might not be enough. NRG, oh, Damon slept. That could result in a kill here. Gray doesn't have the follow-up necessarily, though. And in fact, Damon's still up. Keller has to blade, but it's countered perfectly by the Transcend. Keller's just stuck holding his blade up on the top, as OpTic is still in a bit of distress here. NRG, though, had the back out, and the pressure's starting to lighten as OpTic gets their respawns in.
Stratus was in that power position there, but because of the blade, because of the Transcendence being used just to keep Stratus alive, that meant that they were able to apply pressure. OpTic Academy onto the ground forces of NRG. From there, they had to disengage, and it was just great timing coming out from OpTic because they stopped NRG from securing that second tick by just 1.3%.
Now, we do have a switch up here for NRG where Fozix is going to be moving towards the Ana. I think they would like to have more long-range support here.
Long-range support, but that does mean that they're a little bit disjointed in their ultimates, right? So she's not going to have the nano visor. There's not going to be the nano boost onto Butcher anytime shortly, but that's a great biotic nade. They have to back away.
Bio nade lets NRG get on top. Smurf ends up going too deep as a result. Stratus, where you want to be at the tac visor, pulls it out. Doesn't have much in his sights, though. OpTic's able to bend back. It's not the greatest advisor for Stratus. He ends up dropping down, and sure, he got Keller, but OpTic was able to take the fight further back, and I think there's a bit of miscommunication there, because NRG, they didn't put themselves in a great spot to get support from Stratus there.
Yeah, and Fozix hasn't been able to get much done with, of course, this Ana now. He's at 28% towards his nano boost. Well, Gray will have his own, so look to either go on to Keller or to Smurf to try and build up their ultimates a bit quicker. Pulse oh, it connects, but he's instantly traded away.
It's not the type of trade you really want early in a fight because Tracer is so much of your cleanup duty. If you lose the Tracer early on, it's very difficult to snowball it in your favor on the attack. And NRG, once more, they just have to back out. A minute 50 left on the clock.
Minute 50, so much time burned away. Well, they do follow up onto that elimination onto Smurf. The nano boost is out just to try to get the damage mitigation, but he's forced out of his mech.
Keller once more running to the brick wall of Transcendence. NRG on the re-engage, far more effective, 85.2%. OpTic in danger. Stratus where he needs to be, on the top right now with plenty of room to work with, plenty of support. Smurf knocks him out of the fight. Still has to get back here, though, in a hurry, but that gets rid of Stratus' positioning as he just got bopped back into the fight. Stratus is not in control of his own destiny as Smurf Goomba stops him at the end. Oh, there was no getting off Smurf's wild ride there as OpTic is going to bring this one back, but just barely.
That was beautiful. He's able to just beat back both, I believe it was the Zenyatta along with that Soldier 76, just chased down Stratus that entire time, made sure he was able to do anything at all, but taking both out, a 76 and a Zenyatta on the high ground. That was huge effort coming up from Smurf. So that's going to allow them to stabilize NRG. Coming down to one final team fight, Stratus, he's going to have the visor ready, but he's been under so much pressure.
Again, it's about what room that can be made here early on. NRG is going to do their best to give him this high positioning early on. His visor is ready. NRG is in a good spot here. They have plenty of people up. They can't lose Smex, though. Smex is getting poked down very heavily, and Fozix goes down. The counter dive from OpTic does its work. Fozix wasn't quite able to get out of there, and now you look at Butcher and Specs, they're not going to be able to be healed up the way you would want here. It's just Rob and his Transcendence Orb, which not great. And now Damon actually getting checked by Sharp.
Yeah, I was surprised that Sharp didn't go overly aggressive on that, and so now, once again, onto the high ground is Stratus. 4 seconds left. Someone has to make it onto the point just to contest here. They are. So we are going into overtime. Now into the backline. Sharp almost got the one clip.
Now, Stratus, attack visor up in the backline, gets one, looking for more. It's much better positioning this time around. Only tanks in his sights here, but that could be enough. The problem is that OpTic is trading up pretty well. You see Sharp on the outskirts, about to have a pulse bomb. Vol gets 2, and now it's Keller. Late Widow swap, and he's just looking for Stratus here, though. Might be a little bit overkill as he's not even able to get onto the point.
88.8%. That is all NRG were able to secure, even though they had about 7 minutes to try and finish this out. So with that, now OpTic Academy, remember, even though the scoreline is 1-0, they are sitting on match points.
The other thing, too, is that also eliminates the possibility of another draw here, which could have led to a 1-1 scenario with a final map 5 tiebreaker. We could have had 2 draws, but very unlikely to see a draw where both teams end up at 88.8%. So one way or another, we're going to know just where the series stands at the end of this here. And OpTic in a pretty good spot, but NRG also, this is defensible. I mean, essentially, it's forcing OpTic to capture B almost in its entirety.
Yeah, I mean, 11.2% was the difference. NRG getting that extra lifeline for themselves here. On their defense, they're feeling that dive once again. Why not? Stratus has some great blades, but they're going to start off this time, of course, as many defenses do on point A of Hanamura, with an Ana.
And the reason why you run the Ana is that the Ana can be well protected in the back. It's difficult for the offense to get on the Ana without over-engaging too much. And if you over-engage by too much, you've used a lot of movement abilities to get back there, which means it's more likely the Ana can land a good sleep or just outright out-duel you with the Bionade and a little bit of help. So Ana is a pretty strong pick here on first point Hanamura, and for good reason.
Yeah, but OpTic, they're opting to run the Lucio for their secondary support, and so they can close the gap onto that Ana. So Rob has to be careful because this dive is going to be targeted onto him along with Kha'Zix as the gates are about to open up. So this is going to get explosive real quick now. OpTic Academy just need to capture point B, and they walk away with this series, ostensibly second place here in their group.
OpTic not really messing around with too much out of the ordinary here. A strong dive, the most common comp you will see in Overwatch from time to time. And OpTic, again, not waiting too much. It's Gray way far in the back, draws the pressure of Winston back here, but while Winston's fighting on Gray, he's not with the rest of his team. The rest of OpTic is diving in, and Gray's like, I'll take this fight. I might have died, but so much of OpTic was able to just roll over NRG like a wave because NRG only had one tank in the back.
Yeah, and it is so important to have that Winston in there, especially for the counter dive when they come out onto your team. You could just go ahead and sit in front of that doorway there, just body block and make sure they can't get to your supports. But without him there, without the extra little bit of damage that he provides, it's harder to clean up as a Genji, as a Tracer.
I can just imagine Gray like just laughing in a condescending Portuguese accent right now over, is like, I can't believe this guy just dove me in the back. Why would he do this? We get free points. Sadly, my Gray impression has gotten far more accurate than I care to admit, but look, that was great for OpTic.
That was great indeed. And so Keller making the instant swap off onto the Soldier 76. They will push for that high ground now. Sharp starts it off. Kha'Zix has already fallen.
And this gives Keller so much room here. They have the early advantage. You have Smurf making, oh, Smurf got picked off. That's bad for OpTic. They needed Smurf alive here. They still can make this work, but they're gonna be losing a lot of control that they might otherwise have. Nope, the Keller is still on top of the point. Sharp gets Butcher, and Keller, again, room to work with as his tanks make the space here required. OpTic could be starting on their first tick as NRG has not been able to respawn their way back onto the point.
Yeah, Sharp taking out Rob there. The nano boost used just to try and keep Smex alive. The damage mitigation not enough, but there's the blade. The Transcendence is late. Stratus was able to take Keller out.
All right, Stratus goes down, unable to keep control on the point. Respawns, though, are starting to bleed OpTic a bit here. NRG, powered by Stratus and Damon, have gotten a few key pickoffs. OpTic has yet to get a first tick, as dominating as this has looked, and you need to be a little bit more. You need to make sure you have everyone on the point. Sharp, though, drops a bomb in the back, blows up a Doomfist, but doesn't quite matter in the end.
Yeah, ultimately, of course, these trades favoring the defense. They have a much shorter defensive respawn distance now. Even Butcher staying alive through that fight is going to allow Kha'Zix to get that Transcendence soon. We'll see. Yeah, the orb is thrown onto another member. That's going to allow Rob now to start stacking that up, get closer to his next nano.
NRG gets a moment of breather, and so do we to an extent. OpTic now gets to get to work. More of surgery, as it were, on Hanamura. Sometimes more of an art than a science, which hopefully your surgeon is not practicing, as surgery is science. I've gone way into the weeds on this entire analogy, but Sharp gets picked off. He was looking for something here. Now OpTic down to 5 as NRG goes, actually, you should get off.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're not just trying to maybe bum rush the point, try and apply a bit more pressure that way instead of just wrestling control over the high ground. Force them to come off the high ground instead. They are going a little aggressive, but it's Stratus who does fall as he does respawn. He's got the gap closer to get right back into this fight. He's already respawned.
All right, OpTic now, they do have options for this next fight, but the problem for them is that how do you deal with this incoming Nano Blade where they don't have a Transcendence up? It's actually going to be very difficult.
Difficult indeed. I mean, they don't even have the Primal Rage from Smurf to try and bat him around. And so, yeah, you're going to have to rely upon aid with the boop or just a perfect barrier and disengage.
the problem for OpTic is that they might feel pretty strong here. If they invest Tac Visor here early on, it's not really going to work out. Oh, Fozix gets Sharp on the just thinnest of edges there. Stratus moving on in. Nano Boost has been involved here, but they don't need to pop the blade as well. NRG going to take the fight cleanly, but note for OpTic, they were able to save their resources. They are actually just going for that destined 6 ultimate fight, and I think that's smart. I think teams should do that a little bit more.
Yeah, they've got it. They're going to have it for this next fight. Now, they don't want to lose that Winston Butcher survives, and so that's actually going to push Rob really close towards his Nano Boost for this next fight. And right now in the arms race, it is OpTic winning, but still we've seen so many teams, you know, with the ultimate advantage, just throwing away fights. So OpTic, let's get this.
Timing is going to be of the utmost importance here. You want to go in before Nano Boost is back up. With Nano Boost not being up, it's going to be very hard for Stress to get much of anything done through Transcendence. You got to support Keller all the way. Early barrier brings him up. Gray's going to be using the Transcendence here in about 3, 2, 1. Expect the Transcendence to come out in a moment. But maybe it's going to come out just for Stratus. And oh, Damon gets 8 in the back. Now Keller, Tac Visor around the sides, doesn't get as much as he'd want, has a Genji in his face, and this has not gone well for OpTic. They've invested everything here at the beginning, but now they're able to turn it around towards the very end. They recover mid-fight, and now they're able to get onto a point, and they're getting all sorts of progress as everyone from NRG was wiped out.
Vol even has his self-destruct as soon as they get this D-Mech onto Smex and see more people onto the point. Watch it come out possibly. No, they just got the Focus Fire. Stratus going back over to that Doomfist. We'll pick up one onto Keller, but he needs to get back onto the point.
He needs to get back on the point, but Stratus on the Doomfist! He's got 2 here so far! Usually this doesn't do much of anything, but he's punching and just prodding people off the point. Don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Sharp says, no. Doomfist, you're not going to be doing this in this situation. OpTic still regulating on the point. By the way, it was at 88.8 to 88. However, OpTic, they do finish it out, which means they will take the series over NRG. Woof.
I mean, that was a first for me. I've never actually seen it 88.8 to 88.8%.
That could have been a draw.
Yeah, it could have actually been a draw.
Where, by the way, NRG was so close to pulling that back because that was an awkward engage from OpTic.
Yeah,
Keller
Stratus somehow coming up with a double kill on that Doomfist. That's nuts.
Well, even before that too, Keller got pushed back. It wasn't your stereotypical we're executing well 6 ult fights, but it was the tanks that pushed it over the edge, and it suddenly went very rapidly for OpTic at the end.
Yeah, that, you know, I asked you guys before this map started about kind of the evenness of the match up between the two teams, and, you know, I don't think anything would say that they're evenly matched more than the 88.8, and both having 7 minutes and 10 seconds or whatever it was after point A.
There's part of me that's sad that NRG didn't come back and hold there just because of how ridiculous that would have been. Yeah. Just because you don't see that in Overwatch where teams tie down to the very decimal at the very end. And well,
I think that was like a world's first. Like someone call Guinness, let's go.
It didn't happen here though towards the end. It was there for a moment, but OpTic was able to finish things out.
Let's talk a little bit about the skill of the hold, because that is a long hold, 7 minutes on 1 point, and that was on both ends of it. Like, so OpTic had to fend NRG off at first, and then it flipped, and NRG had 7 minutes, and unfortunately they couldn't quite cut it on that second half.
Yeah, it was over focus, I would say, from NRG's squad there. Because they were continually trying to fight for the high ground, even when they had already secured the second tick, right? I feel like they could have applied a bit more pressure onto the point instead of just going for the mano-a-mano battle onto the high ground and just like wrestle control away from OpTic. Instead, they could apply pressure somewhere else, and they just weren't doing that at all. Instead, every time Stratus did get the high ground, he also just wasn't able to do anything with that Soldier 76 once he was there.
Well, why wasn't he able to do anything? It was Smurf, where, look, I think Smurf sometimes gets overshadowed on this team because of how Sharp is such a dominant player, but look, there was actually a moment in this map where we saw Smurf bring Stratus just around from Courtyard of Hanamura, back into the point, back off the edge, and Smurf was just being a constant thorn in Stratus' side, and he didn't let him get the position he would like there, and it felt like every Primal Rage, Stratus was like, oh my god, here we go again. I guess I'm going to the moon.
Yeah. So speaking of Sharp's domination, we have some playback footage here of Sharp's Tracer there on Hanamura.
And yeah, this is just Tracer play, of course. Make sure you zone out for both, either of the spawn doors, especially when the Zenyatas or the supports are coming in. Connect with your pulse bombs, of course, onto the Doomfist. But ultimately, Sharp, yeah, he had a huge contribution to this fight.
And then also one thing that's worth knowing, kind of going back, and I think highlighting tanks is important, is that Butcher had a gamble early on Hanamura that he could dive Gray and then take Gray out quickly and rejoin the fight. The problem with that setup is that OpTic was coming in with this like very, very turbo-aggressive dive where their Winston and D.Va were all the way going in. And then Butcher was just stuck playing footsie with Gray forever. And that's a moment where, okay, Gray finally dies, but Gray had to be just immensely happy with that situation because you've taken a main tank out of the fight for the Contribution 1 support who still had Harmony Orb power throughout like at least half of that fight. That was a win for Gray.
And yeah, that might have just come down to, I don't know. Butcher plays a lot of Winston. He should know like some of the mechanics behind it, right? And especially with how you manage your ammo. It was a long extended fight. Gray had to reload his ammo. At that point, as Butcher, you just go for the melee, but he like really never connected with the melee, and Gray was just sitting there pretty the entire time, taking this super extended team fight while, well, his team was winning the dive, so it was fine for him.
So, but let's go ahead and go to map selection. But I have something that I wanted to ask you guys about. So we're going to Junkertown, which we have seen kind of consistently today. One thing that I noticed in Hollywood was like the stack of those, or I'm sorry, this was on Hanamura, the stack of those ultimates. There were 6 ultimates, and I don't see that very often. People seem to trade them and build them off of one another rather often. So going into a map like Junkertown, where that form of play, I feel like holding on to ultimates like that in something that chokes up as much as Junkertown is probably not going to be something that they're going to want to do.
Well, the reason why you saw OpTic hold on to 6 ults there was very clear, is that they knew how they had a lot of time to work on second A. B, they knew that they didn't have to get everything there. They just needed one good push. And you see that a little bit more in the Overwatch past, where teams would hold on to 6 more often. Teams have kind of shifted more into tempo play overall, but I think it's underrated to realize, look, all you need is one good fight and the game is over. That's what OpTic did here, and it worked out, even though the beginning to the fight was sort of, it wasn't quite working out, and then they were able to pull it back.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they were throwing all their eggs into one basket, because by the time that they had those 6 ultimates, they still had about 3 minutes in the bank. So there was a fallback behind that, right? Usually what happens on these like fights, especially on Hanamura, is that you start off with 2 ultimates and then you have a next rotation. So if you win that first fight with the 2 ultimates, when people are staggering in from the defense, you'll have a secondary round of ultimates to use to clean those guys up. And so that's why a lot of teams don't try to stack up 6, but sometimes you are forced to stack up 6 because you're getting picked off.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I've kind of picked up on in the last few weeks is the importance of the stagger. So not just in the importance of the rotation of the ultimates themselves, but the use of the ultimates when certain positions, like the heroes come in that are certain positions on the opposite team.
Well, I mean, one of the key things that will trigger ultimate use too is when you feel like you could use it to win a fight. Like the most common thing in the world is you get an early pick off and then you suddenly see a Zenyatta zooming up the Transcendence. And the reason is that they're already down a player. Let's make things even worse by making our team, semi-invincible so long as they're within the healing. You can still get bursted down, but it's very tough to deal with when you're down a player.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into it. Here we are going into Junkertown. Take it away.
Junkertown, where NRG winning the series might be beyond them now, but this is still, map score could come into play for 3rd and 4th, which is probably what they're looking at here after dropping this to OpTic. Now, it is possible, by the way, that if Envision is able to beat OpTic cleanly, that NRG taking a map here and having the draw could be the difference in getting number 2 in this case. So NRG is going to have to be the biggest Envision fan in the world going forward.
Yeah, Simplicity are just going to be nibbing at OpTic's heels here. Now we do have the Orisa hog on the defense. So Damon going to find it a little bit difficult to try and find an opening with this Widowmaker now. They did try to go over the top, but Stratus just trying to shell down that Orisa barrier there. They do have the damage for it. It's again, NRG running that solo support as Rob in the back. He's onto this Junkrat. He's low. Will be able to get that confirmed.
All right, 5-on-5 here on Damon. What a flank coming in here. Aid does not want to even try for a res, and that's the most he could do there was hope to pressure Damon back, but Damon far too good to fall in that situation. And NRG coming out with a quick strike early on here on Jungle Town.
Yeah, this is just 4 prongs of threats coming out from NRG. They're running the double sniper. They've got the Hog Orisa along with Rob on that Sombra. So there are just so many threats that it's hard. It's difficult for this very stationary defense of OpTic Academy to try and deal with it all when they're getting poked and prodded from every single angle.
This is where, again, Jungle Town is a momentum-based map. It's where you can turn one fight into a very easy road into second here, especially if we can continue to see these Hanzo picks come out from Stratus, who's about to get the Dragon Strike.
He's almost got the Dragon Strike. They're not terribly clumped up here. They've got the distance to work with. Halt into the headshot. No, it didn't connect for Sharp, but he did get some damage off. But still, they are giving up some free space on this payload now.
And again, look to Stratus. He's going to be waiting for the Dragon Strike. Specs is getting just pummeled here. He's going to be able to back up, and now Dragon Strike out. Zoning out OpTic. Doesn't get 8 kills, but usually Dragon Strike doesn't. It's more of a positioning thing.
They did get the Transcendence out for that, though.
Yeah.
And so now, both support's ultimates used by the defense, and Sharp dies through it. Stratus now, the double sniper composition, just eating up OpTic Academy here, and with almost no defense coming out from OpTic Academy, NRG are going to secure second with a huge time bank moving into third.
And Specs, too. I mean, you get the early pickoffs, and Specs is like, I am going to shoot everyone with my scrap cannon. This will be great. And NRG is setting a blisteringly fast time here so far. OpTic, though, they do have some tools to pull this back. No Transcendence, but Keller might be rather on TD4.
And Stratus, he's got another Dragon Strike here. So, I mean, he could do like a little mini Dragon Strike with the Graviton, or excuse me, the Halt out from Butcher. I mean, that's still a potent combo that they have to be actually worried about.
Well, they have to be worried about, but here's the tire. Keller, sneaky, over the back. 5 seconds left on the tire. Scatter, not going to connect. And look at how far back NRG is here. This tire might not get anything directly, but it did throw NRG back and lets OpTic reset here right on the point. And NRG, they're just going to go in. The Dragon is let loose. OpTic, aid back out. It got aid! And ate him right up. And once more, NRG on the assault.
NRG on the assault, and the assault's already over. It was just that quick that they were able to win this out. They did use that Valkyrie into this fight, and so I think they were just a little bit too aggressive with that, but still, it's fine. NRG, they have so much time to work with. Stratus, he's got this high ground, just getting free chip damage off. He's already 30% towards another Dragon Strike. Damon on the high ground now. Oh,
nice
great ult into the headshots. That is what you're looking for.
Well, Sharp was looking for Damon right after, but it's still a good combination coming up from NRG. 5 on 5 right now in and around. Rob dealing with Keller, and OpTic is just having trouble getting anything going here. The supercharger letting both Stratus and Rob lay in the damage, and it just let them hold their ground versus the OpTic dive. And now NRG one fight away from an incredibly quick time here on Jungle Town.
Incredibly quick time indeed. Oh no, hook mid-air. Smurf will fall now just short meters away. OpTic Academy, they're pushing in with only 5 here, but the Dragon Strike takes out aid once again. And with that, there's the whole hog just zoning everyone away from the point as they march forward. NRG complete this out with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left.
NRG just kind of walks up to OpTic and goes, hey guys, we're going to capture this final point really quickly. OpTic goes, we understand. Good day, sir. Nothing went well for OpTic there. Absolutely nothing. Dragons eating people, Dragons forcing out Transcendences, just Stratus in general getting early pickoffs, Mex feasting on the corpses of his enemies. I mean, okay, OpTic, I understand that you don't need to win this map to win the series. However, again, there is a kind of rough scenario for you where if NRG is able to take this map, Envision could help NRG get number 2 still, so it's important for OpTic to come out strong here.
Yeah, usually here on Junkertown, whenever you see that double sniper composition, it tends to lose its steam, right? And you'll have one of the snipers swap off, generally the Hanzo, but they never ran out of steam. There was a perfect hold coming out from them where they were making that pin hair turn on third where they just backed off, used that supercharger, blocked off one of the entrances with the Orisa barrier, forcing them, the OpTic Academy defense to come in from one side, allowing them to just get free damage off. Stratus Travis was doing such a good job with that Hanzo.
Well, it's why Rob was able to pile on the kills towards the very end with the Sombra, is that he was getting helped by the Supercharger. That Supercharger lived forever, and look, that's going to be helping a Sombra do all sorts of damage in that close quarter situation. So NRG just had OpTic's number all the way through, and yet Junkertown is a map where you can make big comebacks. It's where you can have ridiculous overtime pushes.
Yeah.
Let's see what OpTic has in store for their push here, as it's going to be Sharp on the Widow, Keller on the Hanzo, double sniper in play.
Yeah, OpTic definitely impressed by NRG's initial offense, so they're going to go ahead and try and recreate that themselves. Gray on the Sombra. Keller peeks out, but it's
recreation failed.
Yeah.
Recreation actually completely denied as Damon boosted up, just dome smurf early on, and already OpTic a little bit delayed.
Sharp, he's got the damage boost. He didn't need it because he connects with the headshot. Damon taken out.
And Sharp, he's not done yet. He wants to deny the res. That's what he's looking for here. You see the Junkrat coming up, and look at the support. You have the Sombra there as well. The entire point here is, no, you don't get to res Damon in this situation. He has to stay dead. He will stay dead. Now he's coming back in on the respawn. Gray's already there. Oh. This is oppression directly at Damon right now as all this is going on. Junkets too.
The Venom Mine actually getting that one there, but still during that time, so many people were just busy trying to deal with him. Viana was busy trying to deal with him, that he wasn't able to heal his team up. That's going to allow OpTic Academy to just roll through with this payload and secure first. Moving on to second now, Sharp already advancing with that Widowmaker. He's got the Sonic Arrow to give him some vision.
He's looking for the headshot here. He's going to recon side in just a moment. Coming around the flank. Oh my word, he's committed.
What is this?
Gets one. This is quite a spot. Normally he'd fall down, but no.
Someone peek him.
Oh, no, he got halted. Now he has to grapple his way back the other way, but he very well could have gotten Damon there. And again, really nice teamwork between Sharp and Gray on the first point. Sharp gets robbed, and the danger is not passed for NRG. Sharp is the raid boss that must be defeated.
Yeah, sorry, Rob. I meant peek him when he was stuck in that angle. They are able to equalize that out. Gray has fallen. Here comes a Riptire out from NRG.
Keller got it.
Already got it cleared.
Keller deals with the tire immediately, and now Sharp, even though he's getting good pickoffs, his team's dying in the front lines. He's going to have to back out. And I'm just curious. I think this is where Sharp might end up going Tracer. I don't think he wants to stand the Widow here at this point.
Yeah. Like I said at the beginning of this round, usually that double sniper composition tends to run out of steam once you get to second, once you get to third, and here we are seeing it. Volt is now swapping off. He's going over to the D.Va Smurf now on the Winston. They're just going to go dive to try and break this. Damon is going to have to be careful because OpTic Academy, they've got their sights on him.
Interesting enough, Sharp staying on the Widowmaker. I think this might be one fight too long. As I say this, watch him pick off three. Gray in the back. I think this, oh, he's not even an EMP. Rob catches him out. And Sharp was able to take down his counterpart, though. Gets another. Sharp showing that staying on the Widow here might work out, but they've lost enough on OpTic that it's not going to be a super clean fight. Has the opportunity for Junk. Keller leading the way, and if they could just deal to Theresa, which is what they need the EMP for at the beginning, they'll be fine. See Gray coming back in. Down goes Rob, and OpTic is still making the double sniper work.
Yeah, see, they never lost faith. They never lost faith. All you really need is just one good scatter arrow, one good headshot. Even with that staggered kill onto Butcher now, changing over to the D.Va here. Sharp is onto this Roadhog who might just get picked down.
Gray is going deep, and he's going to have to get something here. Keller picked... Oh, Damon takes down both snipers! What a flank, and Gray just getting run over for good measure there.
Poor Gray. He was stealth, and he was just trying to get away, but of course the recon visor was up, and you are detected through that. And that's how the tire found him. And so NRG able to stabilize once again. OpTic Academy now down to 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Keller swapped off here, so I think if they don't take this here, they're going to wait for the recon site, give Sharp the opportunity to counter-snipe Damon. But if this doesn't work for whatever reason, the final minute and a half is where that's going to be. Sharp will be swapping to the Tracer, so this might be last chance here for the Widow. Infra site up, and he uses it in a situation where he doesn't have the immediate shot, but he's going to, again, take the sneaky move up here. Don't see this often from Widows too much in Contenders here so far. Gray's coming in on the EMP, but while he's in there, Sharp isn't able to help out, so Sharp is basically a man down right now of how NRG is playing so far back. NRG doesn't give him the sight lines they need, and now they counterback him with the whole hog. Smurf didn't get hit by that barrier in time, and NRG's playing this defense well, but there's Sharp. Now with room to work, gets Damon. Damon's gonna be brought back up. Sharp still working in the back, and it's Stratus dominating space in the payload. That was still very good disengage and re-engage by NRG.
That was indeed. Clean up onto Gray here. Damon's still alive on this Widowmaker now. They haven't able. Oh man.
Okay.
Oh, poor Aid. just end me now. And he got it. But now it's coming down to the last minute 40 seconds for OpTic, and so here come the sweeping changes. Sharp is now on the Tracer. They're just gonna go full on dive. Why not? He needs the support. Does Keller, because he's gonna have the blade for this next fight.
Yeah, as expected. Sharp, again, I think he probably should have gone Tracer a little bit earlier. Still made it work to a degree, but the problem was with NRG's disengage in last fight made it rough. Now, you take a look. Aid's already almost down. He is down. Butcher called out, and Stratus with the cherry on top. 2 down, push over. OpTic now looking down the barrel. What could be their final push as Sharp, get over here.
Yep, Sharp forced to reset finally. But that does mean OpTic Academy, they're starting to bank up ultimates for this possibly final fight now. They've got the Blade again. They've got the Primal Rage.
Wait, Sharp's back on Widow.
See, wow, okay, Sharp, he just wants the last pick.
All right, when you want to go back to him and be like, no, oh, it works out. He got Damon early on. Now, can they stop the resurrection? Phozix is back there. Is he going to get the res? Look at how aggressive they're diving. This is to deny the resurrection. Damon's not coming back up, but Butcher knew they would dive in. Drop the self-destruct, caught Gray. But you have the Blade. Late into the fight by Keller, with Sharp going off. The return of the Widow working out so well towards the very end, and yet, respawns are coming in from NRG. It's not over yet. Phozix gets the res off, gives his life for Smex. Smex, will you make that worthy? He's under fire from all sorts of directions.
Under fire, but they are just stalling this out now. Keller with a deflect will take out Smex. And it's just NRG at this point, just burning the clock off. They know they've lost this, but they might as well delay as much as possible. And so now OpTic, they will secure the second checkpoint, but they only have a minute 30 now to complete out this map. NRG with a huge time bank. So even if OpTic Academy secure this, they're going to be having to fight an uphill battle.
Well, don't forget, the way it's going to work here is NRG is going to get extra time as well. So NRG will be over 4 minutes at a minimum, at least a 3-minute edge. But if OpTic even wants to get to the end here, they need to get a pick off. They need to get something extra momentum-wise. Nice shot from Sharp there. Almost a headshot on the Butcher as Keller and Smurf dive back, protect against the dive, and Keller brings out the Blade for good measure. Gonna be heading to Damon here. Didn't really need the Blade in the end as Sharp again finishes off with ridiculous cleanup.
And so now he's feeling it once again. Sometimes that's all you really need to do as a Widowmaker. Swap off for a moment, swap right back on, and you're back into the flow of things. Sharp definitely riding that high now. He's got the recon visor up here still though. OpTic Academy, they're just making the bed now with this payload. Sharp getting dove on, but he will be able to back away with the grapple. Smurf creating so much space for him. Stratus and Butcher gone.
Oh. Sharp again, dominating sightlines right now as OpTic dominates the payload. Really good synergy between the two, and OpTic, they're not out of it yet. 15 seconds left remaining here. NRG, they're gonna have to move on to point with an early Transcendence. Rob, where are you at? Where's the Transcend? Can you save Strauss the time? No! Gonna be getting to the point a little bit late. Rob, onto the point, the self-destruct gets Butcher, and OpTic in a perfect position to just ruin people as they come in. Damon gets one last kill, but that is a moral victory at best. We are going to extra rounds.
Extra rounds. OpTic Academy, 1 minute. And of course, NRG now 4 minutes and 40 seconds. But we've seen teams sometimes just take their eyes off the prize once it gets into these secondary attacks and allow a team that's only got 1 minute push throughout overtime the entirety of this map before. So NRG cannot relent here. They need to get this map win because once again, remember, map differential, it will play into how the playoff seedings take place.
Something to note here too, though, is that Junkertown is probably the map where time difference matters the least. It still matters a decent amount, but the problem is that Junkertown, more so than other maps, is prone to just ridiculous momentum-based offenses where you get a team off center and it just keeps on going, right? So a 3-minute and 40-second advantage here, as intimidating though it may be, this is the one time where it can actually swap the other way around. But the key for OpTic is going to be they need to win this first fight.
Yeah, and a lot of teams kind of just forget how the overtime respawns work, and they allow themselves to just get staggered, thinking, no, it's okay, you know, we'll come back with the next fight. But, you know, usually you come back with the next fight within 15 seconds. But once you get into overtime respawns, the next fight takes 20, takes 25, takes 30 seconds to regroup. So you have to be careful losing these fights on the defense.
OpTic moving out, and Damon again, an early pickoff. Did it the last time, does it here immediately. Is gets another. It was part was nullified by the res, but Damon already hurting OpTic's hopes here early on, and he's not done yet. Almost gets smurfed.
Yeah, hitting these headshots. He does have to worry because Keller is still on the high ground with that Hanzo. It's just going to take one good headshot coming out from him and take him out of the equation, but he's not able to connect. Keller missing these shots, but he does send out that sonic arrow, giving his team so much information.
He's still in recon side right now. Damon can come in over the top, has good hook angles, and Keller got him! Keller with the scatter shot, got Damon just in time. Damon knew where he was and wasn't able to finish the job. And this could be what OpTic needed for some crazy momentum here. You're going to see the Valkyrie come up by 8. And Gray, well positioned here on the payload now. You see the res coming up, but it's now the Bastion that is suppressing NRG, and this might let OpTic get directly in the second.
Yeah, this is where you have to worry. It is overtime respawns. It takes so much longer to regroup as a full 6-man unit. NRG, they're just gonna bide their time, wait it out. The payload still hasn't made the checkpoint quite yet, but it doesn't look like they're gonna try and contest from NRG. They're gonna give it up, they're gonna back away, but now they have to worry. Gray, he's at 84%. He's gonna have that tank mode very soon.
Meanwhile, if you're worrying about Gray, you know who you're not worrying about. You're not worrying about Sharp in the back. Multiple threats right now for OpTic as they overcame the first hurdle. However, one way you can just run right over those hurdles is Riptire. Riptire out from Stratus, moving around the outskirts, looking for anything, connects, takes down 2. NRG Esports now can move right back in. NRG on the way back. Sharp trying to equalize here, gets Fozix, that's 1, looking for more. Taken down. Damon says enough is enough, follows and finishes up what Stratus has started, and NRG can be stopping OpTic right here at the beginning of the second.
4 minutes and 40 seconds. I would say doable for the NRG squad to try and win out this map, get the moral victory, even though they have lost out on the series here.
This would be, if OpTic was able to hold this here, this would be a more ridiculous hold than what happened in the Overwatch Heroes Rumble in Taipei, where I believe it was Hong Kong Attitude that held against Flash Wolves on Route 66 in similar circumstances, where Flash Wolves, of course, were a favorite for that tournament before they disbanded, and it just didn't work out. So this should go the way of NRG, but I'm willing to be entertained if OpTic wants to go down that crazy route, because we have seen crazy holds on Junkertown before. It's just not super likely, especially with how OpTic defended the first time, which is to say, not at all.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, NRG, they had a great first push here. They are running, of course, that double sniper composition. Smex is on that Roadhog once again. But Rob was doing a particularly good job of applying a lot of pressure with the Sombra. I think he was working really in conjunction with Damon to really try and control the right-hand side of the map, the inner portion away from the cliffs. So now, OpTic Academy, they're just going to go opt for a dive here. They're not going to try to go with that Orisa. They're going to go with the Winston instead, try to apply pressure into the backline against Damon, against Stratus. Damon now already grappling up. He's got some great information. They know where the Mercy is.
This is a no error margin here for OpTic, and well, there's the first error right there. It's like Sharp goes down. Sharp needed to just crush Damon the entire time, and okay, Sharp's brought back up, but NRG, there's still a pressure gap here. They're able to start moving forward. They do lose Stratus though, as OpTic, I think they realize they have to be super aggressive here, but again, they have no margin for error.
They did lose Vol's mech, and he will fall now, so the payload will continue to push forward. Great hook coming out from Smex there. Sharp, you're not going anywhere. With that now, NRG, they're poised to take this first point.
Sharp just goes, I hook away, as Smex goes, I hook you in, and Smex actually wins there. A little bit of priority.
Let Roadhog grapple. That's all I'm saying.
Please let Roadhog grapple. That would be incredible. He could be my Spider-Man any day. But NRG, very good spot here. Vol has to give up his mech just to contest. He's already out of it. Killer into the back line, but very wounded here. Sharp trying to back him up, and oh no, Sharp goes Smex. We must stop meeting this way as NRG gonna easily get onto first point here in Junkertown. They don't have much further to go.
Yeah, both supports are just trying to stall this out.
Oh my goodness.
But, oh no. I mean, at this point, you know, you just try to throw everything at the wall. Payload has got that first checkpoint here, so NRG, they are just 20 short meters away from securing their only map in this series.
Well, OpTic is going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat to stop them here, and if anyone's going to be doing it, will be Keller. He can get backed up by the Valkyrie, but they have to touch a point right now. 4 meters, 3, 2, 1, contested at 0.86, and again, full sacrifices his mech. Smurfs out of the fight, no more tanks, no more hope. NRG, a dominant performance here on Junkertown to at least take a map.
First off, I want to commend you on the mental image of Roadhog grappling, flying gracefully through the air like a spider pig would. That pretty much made my night. But Smex is freaking Roadhog, you guys. Like it's like they were just attracted to him.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget what good Roadhog play can look like because I feel like competitive Overwatch just goes through periods where you don't see Roadhogs doing that much, where he's not even played from time to time, and then when he gets played, people haven't played it regularly, so they're not landing much in the way of good hooks. But Smex had a very good showing. He looked
like he was conducting an orchestra of death.
Yes, cool. He had a good showing here.
There's some right here.
But the thing is also, you just like throw so many threats, and one of them is gonna stick. Unfortunately for OpTic, every threat on the side of NRG was just going off. I mean, you saw Stratus and Damon just making so many huge plays for them.
Yeah, and again, don't forget too that NRG, they were literally one slash of the blade from taking Hollywood, and obviously that would be making this a very different series because we'd be going into a map number 5. So NRG was very, very close to bringing this to the distance, and it just took a few ridiculous plays by OpTic to sort of stop that from being the case. But NRG, even though losing this now makes it a lot less likely that they'll be able to get number 2 in the group, they're still a threat. They've played the top teams so far in this group very closely. I would not sleep on them as we start looking towards playoff matchups now that we're heading through week 3.
Yeah, that was my question for you guys. So Jamerson, you've mentioned a couple times map differential and like the importance of every map counts in play or in the Contenders series. So looking now that NRG is going to be going up against Simplicity next week and then bye week, the final week, what do they need to do to come back and actually be a contender for that number 2 spot?
Well, right now for NRG, taking this really close loss against OpTic, that 2-1, it's actually pretty big because beforehand, OpTic, they were on about like a 3 or 4 map differential lead up against them, so that doesn't make that gap that much bigger. So luckily, they're keeping themselves within contention up against OpTic, taking a 2-1 loss here instead of a 3-1 or a 4-0. So they're just minimizing the damage at that point, our NRG, keeping this so tight.
The other thing that they have to really be a fan of, too, is, again, Envision when they go up against OpTic later on in the season. They have to hope that Envision